So I've seen a ton of videos and websites that are trying to help homeowners out that have locked themselves out of their houses. And while they have good intentions, the tactic that is used can be and has been used by burglars to also gain access to homes. So in this video, I'm not only going to show you how they go about doing this, but I'm also going to show you how you can go about fixing it and preventing this from being able to happen so somebody just can't break into your home. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's go. So what they'll do is they'll just take any old plastic bottle, maybe they drank out of it or they just found it in the trash. And the smoother the surface, the better it's going to work. And then they'll just take a knife and they'll cut out a section of the bottle to where it makes more of a square or rectangular shape in order to fit it into the doorway. And then once they've cut the top and bottom off of the bottle, then they'll just cut a line right down the middle. And then once that line is cut right down the middle of the bottle, now it's a nice flat surface. It can be of a rectangular or square shape. It doesn't have to necessarily be this big. Now, since this was a bottle, it naturally wants to coil up like so, which is actually going to help with getting into the door. But then they'll take one of the edges of the plastic and they'll really bend it down to where it makes it curve in even more. By curling down this lead edge like so, it's just going to make feeding this in and opening the door that much easier. So let's go break into a door. All right, so here we are at my front door. Now this is a double door, but this same exact method can be used on a double door. It can be used on a single door. So if you have a single door, just pretend that this double door isn't here, and this is where the jamb is, where your door connects to. So I'll go ahead and lock the door, which is what most people do. They lock the door from the inside as they're going out to work, and then they just close the door. As you can see, it's locked and I can't get in. All right, so now this is where I use the bottle in order to get into the door. And like I said, I wanted that pronounced lip on the edge of my piece of plastic because that's going to help promote to wrap this around the door and get to where I need it to be. So I'll just feed that in through first. All right, so now my plastic is in through the door. Some of it may even be almost poking out on the other side. Now this is where I'll start working it down and trying to get it in between where that bolt comes out of the handle and goes into the strike plate that then goes into your jamb. So as I'm doing this, I'll just kind of work it down, mess with the door, trying to get it to work in between that bolt. Yeah, we're getting it. It's moving down in between the bolt now. And there it is. So it's that easy to just open up a door using a bottle or one of those plastic credit cards. So how was I able to take this piece of plastic and basically turn it into a key? Well, I've got my latch here that comes out of the door, and I've got my strike plate that the latch goes into when I close the door. As you know, when you close the door, the latch or this bolt that you see here on top goes inside of this hole here on the strike plate. And this is what keeps your door shut or keeps it from being able to just be opened. So what I was doing was I was taking that plastic and pushing it in between the strike plate and then forcing it up onto the latch in between this face plate on the latch and the strike plate. And if I take this strike plate off, this is the piece that goes inside of the strike plate. And as you can see, I can just push it up and down like so. Well, the idea is to keep using what looks kind of like a ramp here. And as you're jiggling the door and pushing this plastic in, it's gradually working its way up, 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 up. And as it's doing that, it's also depressing this bolt down to where then the door can just open. However, this latch should not just be able to open like this. It has a safety mechanism on it, and that's this pin right here. So as long as this pin is depressed, the latch can't open. The latch can't go all the way down, and therefore the door can't open. That is why this pin is here. It's designed so that you can't just open the door like you saw me do and force this latch down. But many people have older doors that don't have this safety pin, or they just buy the wrong latch for the exterior door. But the big reason why this failed on my door is because it was installed incorrectly. When the latch went into the strike plate, as you can see, that safety pin is inside of the strike plate as well. So it's not being depressed, and that's why this is able to just go up and down like it is. Well, these strike plates are designed, as you can see, it's cut out, it's notched out to where that's supposed to catch that safety pin. So the way it should work if it was installed correctly is the latch would go in like so, and you can't see that pin. It's being depressed by that little cutout over here on the strike plate. So how do we stop burglars from being able to do this? Well, number one, you need to go out to all your exterior doors and make sure that you have a latch that has these safety pins on it. If you find on any of your exterior doors that you do not have this safety pin here, then you absolutely need to change out at least the latch, or you can oftentimes just buy a whole new knob set and they'll come with a new latch, and make sure that it has this safety pin on it. Most of them do. Next thing you want to check is your strike plate, and make sure that your strike plate has this little notch that's like sticking out here, or they call it a lip. Make sure it's got a lip on it for that pin to be caught on and depressed. If you don't have this, no matter how you install it, the pin won't be depressed and you'll have the same issue. Now let's talk about how this should be installed, because oftentimes it's installed incorrectly, and that's the problem. You see how you got the side here that's got like the ramp on it where I was able to force that plastic up on, and then you've got this flat side with the pin. You want this flat side with the pin to be pointed towards the direction that the door opens. So since my door opens inwardly like most people's do, I want that flat side facing the interior. So it just gets inserted like that. Then the handle rod goes through the latch and into the other handle and then tighten down. So this is probably the most important part of making your door safe, and that's installing the strike plate correctly and with some tips. And what I've found happens most often where these are installed incorrectly is they're installed too far forward or too far in towards the interior of the home. So if it's installed all the way to the front, when that door comes in and it depresses against this weather stripping, then that pin is more likely to go into the strike itself as well, instead of getting caught on this lip like it's supposed to and depress that safety pin. So the key is making sure that you push this strike plate back this way a little bit further, so that when that door closes, it closes to the amount that it's supposed to where it's nice and tight up against this weather stripping, but also so that it's far enough back to where that safety pin catches on this lip. So let's go ahead and move this back a little bit. It doesn't take a whole lot to make the correct adjustment. Then once I've got my strike plate set where I want it to, then I'll insert my screws and then I'll go and tighten them down. Now another tip that works really well is when you're tightening your screws in, put them in at an angle like so. When you put it in like this angle right here, once it's tightened down, then if somebody comes in and tries to depress this by using a piece of plastic, it's more likely to get caught on that screw head, and therefore it would never be able to depress the bolt that's on the latch, because it would just keep getting hung up on the screws. So now everything is installed correctly, everything will latch the way that it's supposed to, and that pin will be able to be depressed to where burglars will no longer be able to gain entry this way. And as an added tip, I know some of you were saying, well, if you used your deadbolt, this would never work. That's the problem. The vast majority of people that have deadbolts, when they leave in the morning to go to work, for instance, they're in a hurry, they just lock the door on the handle like I did earlier, and they shut the door in behind them, and they don't lock the deadbolt because they don't think anybody can actually gain entry like I showed you earlier. And there's the complete misconception that burglaries don't typically happen during the daytime and that they happen at night, where it's actually the opposite. So if you don't have a deadbolt, make sure to install one. If you do have a deadbolt, please take the extra 5 seconds it takes to lock the deadbolt, or get a smart lock like this one that locks the deadbolt. It can be auto locked, or you can control the deadbolt from your phone. By doing that and making sure everything is installed correctly, it's virtually impossible for somebody to gain entry to the house just using a piece of plastic. Now, I will be doing more of, and have already done, some other videos showing how burglars are gaining access to houses and how you can take some steps to do a better job of protecting yourself and your house from those burglars being able to gain access. So I'll post a link to a video right up here that goes over how they're easily gaining access to the garage and then also your house. So I hope that this was helpful for you, and if it was, if you could do me a huge favor, hit that thumbs up button right down below. And of course, if you have any questions or comments, you can leave those down in the comment section. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. See ya.